In the world of the Pandora's Box, there is always something to play, but when it comes to these devices, or better said mainboards, there is always something they completely messed up. But now with the new and latest models, there is some, let's say, positive things going on, simply because they're finally listening and improving the box itself. So yep, we're talking about the Pandora Box 10th anniversary edition again. I did a complete overview of every single feature and what you can do, but the only thing we didn't talk about is the light gun feature. The reason is quite simple. When the Pandora's Box was released, it was absolutely one huge mess. And they were promising the light gun feature, but they didn't deliver the light guns at all. But after rain, there is always sunshine. And that was absolutely the case nowadays. Because today it's going to be an absolutely sunny day and we're going to take a close look at the retro shooter Pandora's Box light guns. These were the ones that were announced back in the day, but we needed to have some special configuration and some other stuff. Nevertheless, let's talk about the light guns in general and then we're going to plug it in, show you what you're going to need in the end. But when you're looking at the connections of the Pandora's Box 10th edition, there are only two USB ports. The top one can be used for a controller, I have shown you in the main video. And at the bottom we're going to get ourselves the USB that we can use for the light guns. But what do we actually need connecting everything to the Pandora's Box 10? We're going to need the Firebase hub. Yep, that's the one that we're going to need. And we're going to get ourselves a lot of extra ports now. First of all, the back over here is for the sensor. And over here we're going to get one for the power supply. So what you're going to get in the kit is that we're going to get ourselves the splitter. So it basically splits the barrel jack connection from the power supply. Maybe you even need to have a more, let's say, amps when it comes to the power supply, especially when you're going to hook up the Pandora's Box and you're going to use two light guns with the feedback feature. So when it comes to the jammer, we're going to get ourselves like a different cable need to connect to the power supply. But that is not necessary. We're going to take a close look at the family edition. We're going to get ourselves extra connections at the front. We're going to get two of them for the power for the light guns, two for the pedals and two USB for the light gun number 1 and 2. But to visualize everything that we're going to need when it comes to the Pandora's Box 10 upgrade kit. So this is exactly everything that we're going to need from the Pandora's Box family board itself. The two light guns. We're going to get ourselves two sensor bars, all the needed cabling for connecting both of them. The two pedals, take consideration as I'm making this video, the pedals I think were included. But in the future, I don't know if it's going to be sure. They're still going to get them. I think you need to pay extra for them. I'm also curious if you are going to have like upgraded version with metal parts. Then of course the spoken Firebase, the hub that we're going to need for connecting and basically when it comes to communication. And I'm getting the power supply. So this is basically the power supply you're not going to get in most of the kits. I think Retro Shooter does have this in the kit, but this is a 12 volt 5 amp. I recommend getting a very good beefy power supply because you're powering on the Pandora's Box itself, but also the two light guns with solenoids. But how do we connect? So first of all, the bottom USB port is going to be used for the light guns. So this has been connected. Then we're going to have the splitter. The splitter itself is going to one over here in the Pandora's Box and the other one is going to be in here in the Firebase hub. Okay, next up, this is going to be connected with our power supply over here. So let's plug this bad boy into. So everything will be provided by power. Next thing that we need to do is getting the cabling for, not this particular one. Oh, there we go. It's already started to become a freaking cable nightmare. And the next thing we need to do is the sensors, already shown you before. At the back we're going to get ourselves a USB port that's going to be connected in there. And then we're having two type C's and both will be connected in the sensors. Basically that's how we're going to connect it when it comes to the sensor. And of course all the other stuff like the pedals and the light gun is going to be connected in the hub itself. Regarding putting the sensors on your television, I really love the way how this works. When we're looking at the legs of the sensor itself, this is absolutely great. It can still slide and move around, but you can also use some putty tape or stuff like, you know, like the clays I'm using, or some double-sided tape to assemble it and make it extra sturdy. But the overall, I say, this configuration when it comes to the setup of the sensors is super easy and I love it. So you can see that I need to press this still on because the LED was not giving any light whatsoever. Let's move this a little bit to the corner. Okay, we're ready to set and we're ready to go. But when it comes to light gun, there are so many different kinds of technology, but also qualities. I already mentioned before that the grip is absolutely great. But when it comes to the solenoid, it's a different kind of version we have seen with previous videos. Think about the Gunfire and the Sinden. So it's also having a different feel. You have this spring that you can just feel in the inside, and also let's you hear what it is. But when you're listening to the sound itself, yep, it just feels and sounds actually like I'm showing you. But when it comes to the experience, when you're just playing and you want to fire rapidly, it's going to be no problem whatsoever. And that is what I really like about the light gun itself. And that is for when you're playing certain games that you have rapid fire, that is absolutely great. And the solenoid is a very cool add-on to this. But the next thing I wanted to do is going to the configuration menu. What I love about it is when you're going to plug it in, when the system is powered on, automatically shows you the crosshair settings. So looking at the screen, this seems to be working just fine. But let's say I want to double check it. The thing I need to do, press the button over here where we can just now configure everything. And that's it. We're ready to go. Now it's been configured. If you have any problems, and I just love the way how this actually software works. Oh yeah, absolutely. This is so much better. So how is it with the speed? You can see there is a minor delay, but also when you're looking at me, like I'm a little bit too close to the screen. But that's it. Yep, let's go exit. Next thing we need to do is go to the special menu. Cannot be navigate through here. See, that's the thing I'm always like fighting the first time we're finding all of my buttons. And the next thing that we need to do is talk about the menu itself. I was flabbergasted because the first time I booted up, I couldn't find any light gun games. So I was thinking, hey, let's go to the start menu and let's see if there's any games there. Realizing they completely disable it. After some, let's say, chit-chatting with some people, I realized I completely was like thinking on the wrong way, because we need to go to the special menu, pressing the tiny button at the back, entering the settings menu. Here we can find ourselves the game config. With game config, we're going to get ourselves the edit game list. When we're going entering this menu, here we're having all kinds of options. We can disable games, show games, but also emulators can be turned on and off. And by going up, you will see light gun games have been disabled. I think they did this because when they are launching this product, there were no light guns available. So they're thinking, let's disable the light guns and don't make people confused. Okay, you can just disable in certain platform if you don't like it. For example, PlayStation Portable if it doesn't run or have no games or one game at all. But that's it, everything have been enabled. So let's go back to the main menu and let's test out the guns. Let's see if they are going to be any good. Let's save, not to forget. And it doesn't need to reboot this particular new model. The old models always need to do a full reboot. We don't need to do that anymore. Let's go all the way back to the menu and indeed the light guns on here. Cool. Did notice the game list is slightly shorter than the retro shooter. So take that in consideration. Okay, so it's set up, and next thing we're going to do is go to the light guns. There we go. And let's take a close look at it. There's already a full list out there, so I'm not going to bother you about more about the games. Let's take a close look at some games and let's have some fun. Alright, next game we're going to try is Time Crisis. So let's plug in the pedal. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely epic. I'm just going to use my hand. It's easier to show you on the camera. But let's boot it up. Something happening? Hello? There we go. One thing I've noticed with some of the devices that, yeah, the audio you're hearing now is not like it's supposed to be. So the game is not emulated perfectly. Just want to be clear about that. It's a minor difference, but oh. I'm too close to the screen!
Reload! Halt! Action! Get out!
I'm just going to hold it like that. Okay, so let's try another cool game. Let's see how it actually works with this. I love that they can actually reload with this particular button. Come on. There we go. So let's try one of those classic games. There he goes. Oh yeah. There are a lot of classic games on here, but missing out Terminator 2 and a couple of good ones. It's quite unfortunate, to be honest, when it comes to the 10th Family Edition. So one of the things when it comes to this first version, I think is pretty cool. If you're going to hold this particular button, you're going to be like swapping it to rapid fire. And that's what we're going to need with this particular game. Because with rapid fire games, you need to have rapid fires with a solenoid. See, that's the way how you need to play this. Pure satisfaction. Another thing I want to talk about is how to get in the menu. You need to hold the start button for a couple of seconds, quite a long second, I think 5 seconds or something like that. Then we'll automatically get into the menu, and here we can make a quick load, quick save, and it can even enable and disable the crosshair. Nevertheless, we can even mess around with it. I'll go back all the way to the main menu. When you're looking at the Pandora's Box 10th edition, yeah, it's absolutely clear that this first edition is not perfect. First of all, missing out a lot of different games compared with the retro shoot I've reviewed here on the channel. But not only that, we do have a lot of things that need to be fixed, like aspect ratio need to be fixed, that is not able to switch out with light gun games. You know, that's kind of stuff. And also not even to talk about the overall glitching with some games. It's a little bit of a bummer, it's a missed opportunity. Hoping in a new version or the updated version that they will improve all of them. For now, thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, and it would be great to see you in the next video.